The individual you have been keeping in your thoughts really does care about you quite deeply. However, the actual cause of the space that has grown between the two of you might catch you completely off guard. Take a nice, deep and slow breath before you start listening to this message, because it carries some real weight. It does not feel light or surface level at all as it reaches into that quiet area that exists between two people who sense strong emotions yet say very little to each other. If you want the real truth about why the person in your mind keeps pulling away rather than coming closer, you should acknowledge that connection right now. When a certain person remains in your thoughts all the time, not just once in a while or by pure chance, but constantly, there exists a profound cause that goes far beyond simple coincidence. And if any type of distance has grown between you, whether it shows up as emotional distance, physical separation, or just complete quiet, then listen very carefully. The gap you notice is not exactly what it appears to be on the surface level. The first important fact you should know is that the person who stays in your mind truly loves you in their own unique manner. This love does not come across in big dramatic scenes like you might see in movies or through loud promises and constant streams of messages. Instead, it appears in a calm, strong, and sometimes quite difficult to handle form. This is not a person who has forgotten you or who has moved forward with their life without any struggle. They actually carry small parts of you with them in their daily life, and they often recall the minor details about your voice, your specific facial expressions, and the genuine feelings of safety or openness you created in them. They hold these memories very near because those moments touch them in a profoundly meaningful way. So, the question naturally arises about the real reason for this space between you. Love does not always bring people nearer to one another right away. At times, it makes them move back, pause, and think very carefully before they can feel ready to completely open up. Deep love, especially, can bring up fear more than it brings up bravery in a person. When someone truly loves you, an unexpected feeling wakes up inside them, and they begin to notice their own weaknesses, their possible losses, and those areas where they might not feel fully prepared to offer everything of themselves. You affect more than just their heart, because you also reach their hidden vulnerabilities, their old unhealed hurts, and their earlier worries that still remain buried deep down. That powerful feeling can sometimes seem like far too much to manage all at once. Love tends to show a person their own insecurities very clearly, and in some cases, those internal insecurities make the individual step away even when their emotions remain real and steady. It helps to realize that this space does not equal a lack of interest or a lack of care. The quiet or the gap often shows that they are currently in a fight as they work through feelings that feel larger than easy words or simple comfort can express. They may truly wish to stay close, talk openly, and share what they feel, yet persistent worry and doubt keep them from doing so. Their thoughts fill with many heavy questions, such as whether they are enough, if they might let the other person down, or whether their affection could eventually cause harm. These ideas sit heavily on anyone who genuinely cares about another person. Stepping back becomes their primary method of dealing with that internal pressure. Sometimes strong love feels like a very big responsibility. The deeper the care, the stronger the wish to guard both the other person and themselves from any possible hurt, rejection, or disappointment. For this reason, the distance turns into a form of self-protection. If there is someone you cannot stop thinking about, but they keep pulling away, understand that they do not wish to lose you, yet they also fear failing to love you in the complete way you deserve. It remains difficult for them to express this openly or even to understand their own complex emotions fully. They walk a very thin line between wanting closeness and feeling the overwhelming need to withdraw. The space they create sometimes serves as the only method they know for handling these mixed feelings. Every action, and even the lack of action, carries hidden meaning in such situations. When a person steps back, it does not mean their heart feels empty, but rather that it feels very full and needs extra room to sort through everything. Their affection continues steadily even when it stays unseen on the outside. They remember you during their calm moments, think about small kind acts, replay past talks in their head, and consider what your presence adds to their life. That counts as real love, although it may look like distance from an outside view. The strength of their emotions often proves too deep for ordinary words or regular contact. Their care lives in the quiet times, in the pauses, and in the unseen links that join their thoughts to yours. Understanding this situation asks for patience and the ability to notice love not only in visible deeds, but also in silence and in careful holding back. It represents a complex and layered type of affection that challenges both people because it does not follow a simple, predictable path. This kind of bond needs empathy, kindness, and the willingness to look past what appears on the surface. You might feel puzzled or sad because of the gap, yet the person in your thoughts often stays much nearer than you realize. Their love continues even during those long, quiet periods. In the end, the space between you does not show anything about your value or their true emotions. It simply reflects how complicated human feelings can become when deep care meets personal fears. If you manage to see the true depth hidden behind the silence, then you start to grasp the real character of love. Love does not need to stay loud or always obvious. Sometimes it grows in quiet wishes, in care that stays unspoken, and in the gap that keeps two hearts linked while still allowing them room to breathe. The next time you sense that distance, remember to breathe calmly and understand that the person cares in ways that may stay hidden yet feel very real and strong. The gap does not mean total absence, but rather a presence held carefully inside a human heart that faces its own set of challenges. They work through their personal fears, doubts, and difficulties, yet the affection they hold for you continues steadily. It is not always simple or loud, but it remains firm, quietly powerful, and truly devoted. This situation exists not because you made any mistake, but because you created a deep, unexpected feeling in them that they were not fully prepared to handle. The distance you observe does not represent rejection of any kind. It acts as self-protection, a shield they build around their own emotions. This truth may surprise you, but the space appears because they care a great deal rather than too little. They realize that getting closer might make them fall deeply and quickly into strong emotions that feel heavy or too open for their current state. Vulnerability seems risky to them, and they worry about losing control over their feelings. Instead of taking that chance, they pick quiet and step away, not to cause you pain, but to guard themselves from possible hurt or disappointment. Their distance works like a protective covering because, in their view, you deserve someone who feels stronger, steadier, and more complete than they feel right now. One difficult reality involves how they look at you and believe they fall short in some way. They notice your emotional depth, your openness, and your ability to care without limits. Rather than trying to match that level, they sometimes pull back and repeat thoughts to themselves that they might make you unhappy, or that they simply need more time to heal. In this way, the space becomes a complicated form of care that affects both sides. Inside their mind, an unseen battle continues while you wonder about the lack of contact. Thoughts swirl around decisions about reaching out or staying silent, and worries about failing to meet expectations or causing unintended pain. Their quiet feels peaceful from the outside, but inside it carries loud inner noise. They go over past moments with you many times, and they vividly picture talks that never actually took place. Every word, look, smile, or touch gets examined very carefully in their memory. Even when they attempt to calm down, the concerns often remain. They keep measuring their own perceived flaws against your qualities, and they usually feel they come up short. You might believe they feel indifferent, yet the opposite holds true because their emotions run very strong and sometimes hold them in place. They experience pulls in opposite directions at the same time, wanting nearness while fearing failure at the exact same moment. The stronger the wish to connect, the greater the fear that rises up. They desire closeness, yet they simultaneously move away from it. And each choice to keep distance involves an inner struggle made for the sake of love. Their heart beats with feeling behind the walls they created, even if you cannot sense it directly. They calculate risks and search for ways to avoid harm to either person. Their affection shows itself through quiet actions, and every pause or delay reflects the storm happening within. They fight personal battles that you cannot reach or solve for them. Although you might sense abandonment, they retreat because their own emotions feel too heavy to carry fully right now. They try to find their way through a mix of worry, hope, and longing while protecting both of you from possible damage. They fear losing themselves in the relationship or not measuring up to someone they see as truly special. Despite the gap and the quiet, the truth stays firm that their feelings run deep and they truly care for you. They wish to stay present, yet they remain caught in a struggle between affection and doubt. Their silence does not signify a lack of love, but rather a love that is mixed with hesitation and inner conflict. They are constantly attempting to balance their emotions with the demands of everyday reality, and they think deeply about how they can fit into your life without causing any unnecessary breaks or disruptions. Their heart remains quite active in their private thoughts, their unspoken ideas, and their dreams of finding peaceful times together. They hold on to you in their own unique manner, even if it does not match the usual visible signs of affection that you might expect. One day, when the conditions feel right and their inner worries begin to ease, they may come forward again. This would not happen because they have forgotten you, but because genuine care never fully disappears from those who experience it strongly. Until that time arrives, the distance reflects their personal challenges and serves as a quiet piece of proof regarding the love they carry inside. They miss you in ways they rarely share with anyone else. Love that lacks personal healing often creates these kinds of gaps. Here lies a hard fact that many people try to avoid. Affection alone may not be enough if someone still carries old injuries from their past experiences. Past hurts related to trust, independence, or commitment can make new forms of closeness feel scary instead of feeling safe. Your open presence brings a sense of responsibility that might lead to potential pain for them. So, they build space around themselves, not because they lack care, but because they care in a way that truly alarms them. They do not fully trust their own ability to stay steady or to protect your heart in the way that it truly deserves. This awareness frightens them because they can sense your deep feelings and your level of commitment. Consequently, distance seems like the safer option than risking the chance of causing harm. Now, let us consider your side of things and why your thoughts return to them so often. Emotional links do not simply stop just because the talking has ended. Your inner sense picked up on unfinished energy, words that were never fully said, and a bond that did not get the fair chance to develop completely. Your mind circles back because something still waits for a final resolution and feels paused or incomplete. Gaps without clear endings create repeating thoughts around memories, possibilities, and questions that lack quick answers. You picture different outcomes, review the times you shared, and try to understand the nature of the quiet. This goes beyond simple memories because it involves the unfinished matters of the heart. You are processing the remaining traces of a connection that never reached its full expression. Even when you attempt to move forward, your thoughts continue to seek a sense of completion. This shows the strength of the original bond rather than any issue within you. If you know someone who is stuck thinking about a person who suddenly became distant, share these thoughts with them. Emotional circles appear when love gets interrupted and leaves a lasting mark that quietly reminds you of past moments and future hopes. You might feel uneasy or even annoyed with yourself for having constant thoughts, yet this remains a perfectly normal process. Your heart and your mind are working to understand what your deeper self recognized as meaningful, even if outside conditions stopped it from growing. Space does not remove love, but it only delays its full resolution. Recognizing this can create a gentle feeling of ease because returning thoughts do not prove your weakness or your failure. They simply indicate that the shared experience held real importance and that the link continues to exist even without regular contact. True bonds exist far beyond visible presence, and they show themselves in unseen ways that shape your inner world. Every quiet period and every bit of created distance holds some kind of purpose, even when it is hard to see that immediately. Sometimes, space teaches you patience, inner strength, and better self-knowledge. It pushes you to experience your feelings completely, to watch your own heart, and to value what matters most to you in life. Your mind returns not because you feel trapped, but because your deeper self knows that love rarely follows straight lines, and that proper timing, along with healing, plays a larger role than you might think. The connection between you carries a living energy that does not vanish easily. It waits for you and asks for your understanding, your acceptance, and at times, your forgiveness toward everyone involved. In this period of waiting, you learn that love keeps its meaning even without reaching a perfect completion. It leaves lasting impressions that guide your future choices and build your emotional wisdom. Every returning thought forms a part of your personal growth as your heart processes, your mind balances, and your soul recalls the difference between fear-based space and real, honest care. It shows that silence can act as its own form of language and that distance may hide love under the appearance of withdrawal. You might not notice it clearly, yet it remains steady and real. One day, when the conditions align and the necessary healing occurs, the paused energy may move forward with much greater strength and awareness. Until then, your understanding of this pattern, your patience with yourself, and your ability to feel without forcing control become very valuable lessons. Every open question and every revisited memory serves as proof of the depth you experienced and the lasting strength of the bond. Love stays alive even in quiet forms. They think of you during unexpected moments like late at night or when small things bring back memories. They wonder about your well-being and consider what might have happened if they had shown more courage. Yet fear often stops them from reaching out and creates a kind of freeze despite their deep wishes. They replay past interactions and imagine different words or actions, but hesitation wins out for now. The surprising fact about this space is that the connection holds the power to change them in important ways, and any real change can feel quite scary. You bring forward parts of themselves that they were not prepared to face, so they step back in order to pause the process. This distance works as a waiting time for inner sorting rather than as a lack of emotion. Forcing quick endings or demanding answers usually backfires because that pressure increases their fears. Some understandings only appear when inner calm returns and healing progresses in a natural way. Patience and space allow clarity to develop on its own. This situation does not mean that you lack lovability or that you asked for too much. The connection was real, and you met someone who cared, but who was not yet prepared to match your emotional level. That fact does not reduce your value or show any failure on your part. It simply highlights how timing and personal readiness often guide relationships more than pure wishes do. You shared genuine affection even if it included gaps and quiet moments, and that experience left meaningful traces on both sides. Distance and silence do not cancel out what existed, but they reflect personal struggles and the growth that is still needed. If you never realized that love could create this much distance, take a moment to reflect on that. Love does not always end just because it seems absent. Sometimes it waits, develops quietly, and becomes ready when both hearts align. The effects of your shared time stay with you and shape your future ability to understand and to care. You learn patience, self-kindness, and the skill to hold room for another person's fears without losing your own balance. You discover that love includes respect for hidden struggles even when they are shown through silence. The deepest forms of care may hide behind hesitation, yet they remain very real. You deserve affection that meets you with equal strength and steadiness. The space and the pauses form part of a bigger story involving healing and proper timing. Every emotion and every memory proves that the connection held importance and taught you about your own deep capacity to love. These lessons will help you create more balanced relationships ahead, whether with this person or with someone new. Honor your feelings and allow room for your own growth. Respect the process for both hearts involved. Know that distance does not remove love, but sometimes it reshapes it into something wiser and longer lasting. Your connection lives on inside of you, and it guides your path toward a better understanding of patience and emotional depth. Love does not always require constant togetherness. Sometimes it means allowing space for personal development. choosing quiet for reflection, or stepping back to heal. Not every bond stays in its original form, because some exist mainly to teach important lessons about yourself and your emotional growth. If they return one day, it will happen with greater awareness after fear loses its power and healing brings them the necessary courage. Until then, the distance serves its own purpose in the larger journey. Stop blaming yourself for another person's unhealed issues or shrinking your own needs just to protect them. If the care is true, they will meet you fully rather than in pieces. Otherwise, the space acts as guidance towards someone who can match your depth with consistency. Someone can feel strong affection for you and still not feel ready to stay close. And that truth, while difficult to accept, does not break your value. It leads you toward love that grows steadily without needing distance for its survival. Your heart deserves care that honors your ability to love without living in constant fear. The quiet times and the reflections are not wasted because they prepare you for relationships that feel balanced and fulfilling. These insights about the mind and the heart can bring you clarity when love feels complicated. Understanding hidden patterns helps you move through connections with greater awareness and kindness toward yourself. Love may stay quiet or distant, yet it never lacks meaning completely. Every part of this experience guides you toward the kind of affection that truly lasts. Please show your support if this message resonated with you and share which part hit you the hardest. Remember to stay connected to understand the deeper psychology of love and distance.